Ancient Egypt is one of the most mysterious and fascinating civilizations in history. Giant pyramids, enigmatic gods, and awe-inspiring rituals. This ancient land holds secrets that still intrigue scientists and historians to this day. But what do we really know about them? In this video, we're going to reveal fascinating curiosities that show how ancient Egypt was far more than we imagine. Fact number 1. The writing of the gods. For the Egyptians, writing was not just a means of communication but a divine gift. Hieroglyphs, which literally mean sacred writing, were complex and beautiful symbols, made up of more than 700 signs, animals, objects, and abstract shapes. This writing could be read in different ways, right to left, left to right, or even top to bottom, depending on the direction of the characters. It was not simple. Only highly trained scribes could master it. The walls of temples and tombs were covered in this sacred script. It wasn't just decoration. It was believed that hieroglyphs had mystical power. By writing the name of a person or a god, their spiritual essence was preserved. Erasing or destroying a name was seen as condemning someone to eternal oblivion. This sacred code ensured that the secrets, beliefs, and greatness of Egypt would survive through time, echoing into the present. Fact number 2. Makeup was not only aesthetic. When we think of Egypt, we immediately picture black-lined eyes. But this makeup was not just vanity. Made from minerals, it protected against the harsh sun and even against infections. At the same time, it worked as a talisman, warding off evil spirits. In Egypt, even beauty had a spiritual purpose. Fact number 3, sacred animals. Animals were seen as messengers of the gods. The cat, symbol of protection, was revered both in temples and in households. Killing a cat was considered an unthinkable crime, but the cat was not the only sacred animal. The falcon symbolized vision, power, and dominion. Its ability to soar high and see far was associated with divine watchfulness. For Egyptians, Horus observed the world from the skies, protecting the pharaoh and maintaining the order of the universe. Just like the falcon, the jackal also represented a god, Anubis. He symbolized vigilance and protection over the dead. Egyptians believed Anubis guided souls to the afterlife, assisting in the weighing of the heart during the final judgment, which determined whether the soul could reach eternal life. Even the humble scarab beetle, rolling its ball of sand, became a symbol of renewal and eternity. Fact number 4. Medicine, ahead of its time. While other civilizations were still taking their first steps in medicine, the Egyptians were already recording advanced procedures. Papyri reveal ointment recipes, rudimentary surgeries, and the use of honey as a powerful healing agent. The medical wisdom that flourished along the Nile still impresses us today. Fact number 5. The mystery of the pyramids. No Egyptian monument sparks as much mystery as the pyramids. They are not just colossal structures. They are feats of genius, precision, and mystery. The most famous, the Great Pyramid of Giza, was built over 4,500 years ago and continues to astonish archaeologists, engineers, and visitors from all over the world. Each stone block could weigh several tons, and it's estimated that more than 2 million blocks were used to build the Great Pyramid. But how did the Egyptians transport, align, and stack these stones with such perfection without modern technology? That is a question that still puzzles humanity. Moreover, some stars, like Sirius and Orion, are perfectly aligned with the pyramids. For the Egyptians, this was not just architecture, but a connection between Earth and the cosmos, a way to eternalize the pharaohs and unite earthly life with divine existence. Fact number 6. Mummification. In ancient Egypt, death was not seen as the end, but as a passage to eternity. This was the secret to ensuring the pharaoh reached the afterlife, a meticulous process that lasted around 70 days and involved deeply spiritual rituals. First, the internal organs were removed, except for the heart, which was considered the seat of the soul. Curiously, the brain was extracted through the nose with thin hooks and often discarded, since it was not thought to hold spiritual importance. Afterward, layers of linen wrapped the body, along with amulets and magical objects meant to protect the soul and guide the spirit through the afterlife. Mummification was not reserved only for pharaohs. Nobles and some wealthy citizens also underwent the ritual. This shows us how Egyptians viewed existence as something far greater than earthly life alone. Fact number 7. Cleopatra, the foreign queen. Cleopatra is undoubtedly one of the most fascinating figures in Egyptian history, but few people know she was not of Egyptian origin. She belonged to the Ptolemaic dynasty, a family of Greek descent who took power in Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. Despite being a foreigner, Cleopatra worked hard to connect with her people. She was one of the few rulers of her dynasty to learn the Egyptian language and carefully studied the country's customs, religions, and traditions. Her historical image blends beauty, power, and mystery, but her true legacy goes far beyond appearance. Cleopatra symbolizes adaptation and political cunning, showing how a foreign ruler could become one of the most iconic figures in Egypt's history. Fact number 8. The gift of the gods. At the heart of ancient Egypt ran a river that turned desert into fertile land. For the Egyptians, the Nile was not just a river, it was a gift from the gods, the life force that sustained their entire civilization. Its waters ensured agriculture, survival, and even the empire's economic stability. Amazed by its importance, Egyptians developed tools such as the Nilometer to measure water levels and predict floods. Beyond its practical role, the Nile also carried deep religious meaning. It was associated with Hapi, the god of floods, symbol of fertility, abundance, and renewal. Egypt itself was, in many ways, shaped by this sacred river, a true divine gift uniting land, people, and gods in perfect harmony. Fact number 9. Games and entertainment. Egyptian life was not limited to work and devotion, they also had fun. Board games like Senet, considered the oldest game in the world, were played in homes and palaces. There were also festivals filled with music, dancing, and craft beer. The Egyptians knew how to balance the sacred and the joyful. Fact number 10. The curse of the pharaohs. Few mysteries of ancient Egypt are surrounded by as much fear and superstition as the so-called curse of the pharaohs. According to old legends, anyone who dared to disturb the eternal rest of the kings would be struck by terrible misfortunes. This belief was reinforced by inscriptions found in some tombs, carrying warnings carved into the walls, such as, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the pharaoh's sleep." To disturb a pharaoh's rest meant to challenge the gods themselves. When Tutankhamun's tomb was opened in 1922, several people linked to the expedition died suddenly or mysteriously, including Lord Carnarvon, the excavation sponsor, who succumbed to a strange infection soon after the tomb was opened. From a scientific point of view, many scholars believe these deaths may have been caused by ancient fungi and bacteria trapped inside the sealed tombs. But for popular imagination, this explanation was never enough. Was it divine vengeance? Either way, the idea that tombs carry curses remains alive to this day. Fact number 11. The heretic pharaoh. Among all the pharaohs, few were as controversial as Akhenaten. He dared to defy centuries of tradition. Upon taking the throne, he carried out a religious revolution. He ordered all gods to be abandoned and placed one single deity, Aten, represented by the solar disk, at the center of Egyptian faith. But his reforms were not well received. Priests and common people saw the pharaoh as someone who had broken the balance between the divine and society, and they became his fiercest enemies. After his death, his memory was erased from official history. Statues were destroyed. His name was scratched from inscriptions, and the cult of Aten was quickly abandoned. Egypt returned to its traditional polytheism, as if Akhenaten had never existed. An episode that shows how even pharaohs could face the wrath of their own people. Fact number 12, the riddle of the Sphinx. Amid the desert sands in front of the pyramids of Giza stands one of the most enigmatic constructions ever made by humankind, the Great Sphinx. With the body of a lion and a human face, this colossal stone statue guards secrets that still challenge archaeologists, historians, and curious minds worldwide. No one knows for sure who built it or exactly when it was carved. Many believe it could even predate the pyramids themselves. Another riddle lies in its missing nose. Records show that as early as the 15th century, the Sphinx no longer had a nose. Some say it was destroyed by cannon fire, others that it was deliberately damaged by rulers trying to erase symbols of the past. Thus, the Sphinx remains a symbol of mystery and power, a monumental work that defies time and keeps alive the question, what knowledge did the ancient Egyptians possess that still remains hidden? Egypt was, and still is, a civilization shrouded in mysteries. From monuments that defy logic to profound spiritual beliefs, this sacred land remains one of the greatest symbols of human genius and mystery. Which of these facts about Egypt did you find most intriguing? Leave your opinion in the comments, like this video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next ones. That way, you'll help us continue exploring the greatest secrets in human history, because the past still has much to tell us.